Hello everybody, my name is Markus Deimann. I'm from Germany, from the Fernuniversität. It's a large distance teaching university. By the way, the biggest university in Germany, about 72,000 students. And I'm working in the field of instructional technology and media, and I'm also part of a European project, Open Educational Resources in Higher Education. You can see here the banner. And I'll talk about a little bit this project, the goals, and then I will shift to a study which I conducted in German-speaking countries to explore the motivation of teachers, students to share their materials, and most importantly, the hurdles, the barriers they mentioned, and then what can we do, what is their vision of the future in open educational resources. In general, the situation in German-speaking countries is not really good, and what I discovered at this conference is I think there are much less people from Germany than from the United States or the UK. That's maybe an indicator. Okay. I'll start with a brief introduction of open educational resources. This is important because I don't think that you are not familiar with these concepts, but they will appear later on in the study. So this is important to get a quick overview of the definition of the concept of open educational resources. Then we will shift to the challenges. This is part of the study. It's a Delphi study. I will talk a little bit about the method, the participants, the results, and at the end, a discussion. So open educational resources. I know we are here at the Open Ed conference, but let me just mention this brief concepts or components of open educational resources, because they will appear later, and then you will see what the necessity of this now is. So it's free access to open content. It's provided free of charge, and what Paul just mentioned in his speech, the license issue is very important. And then you have also educational tools like learning management systems such as Moodle or open source software. Currently we are in the phase of what we can call a second generation of projects, of initiatives, and I'm part, my university is part of this open educational resource and higher education project with the European Association of Distance Teaching University as a coordinator. And here in this project, the goal is to expand the achievements of previous projects and initiatives, such as the Hewlett Foundation with its grants. And I'm working on a package about team-based development, and in this package, in this work package, the goal is to identify success factors that can help us to persuade or to convince other teams to utilize OER. And we discussed this, that it's important to have a kind of a win-win situation. So we scanned the literature to find team approaches which are working in the area of OER and what they might call a win-win situation. So if you have any knowledge about such projects with a team-based approach, I'll be very happy if you can share your knowledge with me. So because I'm right now in the middle of this work package, so I'm undertaking this literature review, and then the next step is with this literature review, we will have some qualitative interviews. So also I'm here to maybe identify people that can help me with these interviews. And then these interviews will be combined or will be to have a questionnaire. And then the goal is to build a model with success factors. So what must a team have to feel or to enable the potentials of OER, and also to inspire future teams working with OER. The organization of this work package is we have several networks, such as the Humanities Network. It's with the two open universities in the Netherlands and in the UK, my university. And then we have this MedNet network is filled with universities from the Mediterranean area, Italy, Spain, Greek, and so on. And we have identified associate networks such as Switch Collection. They are also working on open educational resources in Switzerland, and we have some meetings and workshops. Okay, now let me shift to this study I've done in German-speaking countries, because I'm involved in the OER movement for 5 years or so, and I identified there was a little awareness of the whole idea and the concept in Germany. And there are some of the reasons might be that it's a little reputation for you as a teacher when you adopt open educational resources. However, what I think these reasons are rather assumption than and are not based on empirical data. So there may be some kind of a speculation. On the other side, there are some large-scale surveys, such as this stated here, giving knowledge for free. And in these surveys, they reveal different challenges. But in these surveys, the focus was on the overall on the macro level and not on the individual level as a teacher. So with these two howevers, I built this study. So what is the real situation in Germany? So I wanted to have empirical data and and on the individual level. I used the Delphi method. It's from the ancient Greek. At this time, if you wanted to know how your future will look like, who will I marry, will I have a family, or stuff like that, then you go to this location and ask this Delphi or this oracle, and so this is the method. And but for my study, it's more serious than a spectacle. So this method, if you use it in a scientific way, it can help develop a consensus among a group of experts. And the essential element is you have to give anonymity of the participants when they are sharing their knowledge, their opinions with you. And then the Delphi can help alleviate problems. And it's essential or very important or helpful for areas in which there's not much knowledge, such as the OER movement, and especially in Germany. And it can also help to provide solutions for these challenges. So what we've done, we have established some criteria for selecting experts, because this is very important. And our experts, they should have documented experiences, which you can find in conference papers, in literature, and so on. And they should have worked with OER in some way, and they should have also some different backgrounds from the IT or from sociology. And then we came up with a panel of 12 experts from German-speaking countries, and they had an average experience of 10 years with working with e-learning, not working with OER, but with e-learning. And then we had 2 rounds. In the first step, we had qualitative interviews, and then we had this survey. And in the first round, we discussed with them different theses on open education resources. So, now let me provide you my results. The first result was that the definition and the perception of OER is quite elaborated. This is part of this reflects my initial part with the different aspects like the licensing or the open software tools. So our experts share all of these different aspects. Then they perceived OER kind of a buzzword, and everybody is talking about it, but it's not yet been incorporated into higher education, which they feel or they think is a paradox. And then we have found these hurdles. Most importantly is the cultural hurdle. In German-speaking countries, the teacher do not really like to share their materials, and they think if something is not invented here at my institution, it's not worthy. So this is really a big issue. And then we have the low degree of awareness and missing initiatives in Germany. We have kind of an open access movement, but not for OER. And there are really too little materials available. And then we have the legal hurdle. They do not know what can they use, in what way, and for what purposes. And then the technical issue, or technical hurdle. They think the usability is not quite well, and missing search engines for German-speaking countries. And then the visions, we asked them to provide or to state their visions. They think it's not easy, it's tricky. You cannot make a clear vision of the future. It's not really, it's unforeseeable. And they think it will stay at the same, however low level as it is right now. But there will be more materials available, and the utility will also emerge. And maybe this can be enhanced by having a commitment of institutions to publish their materials under an open license or as open education resources. Okay, the conclusion is they think the movement is not declining, but there will not be a much wide presence, and there is a lot of needs to be done. We are now in the phase of detailed work. We have had these big initiatives, for example, from the Hewlett Foundation, but now we have to break it down to the micro level and see how everybody can work with it. And it can support active communication and also prevent the digital divide phenomenon. And they think that the general public and higher education can greatly benefit from it. And they are very pleased by the positive response OER is given. And this should be promising for the future. So it's not negative, but a little bit promising. So to end up, we have found elaborated conceptions of open educational resources shared by our experts. And we have found that they talked early on in the interviews about hurdles and challenges, so that might be indicating that there needs a lot to be done. And we have linked this to a specific academic culture in these countries. However, we have also found some promising strategies, what you can do with it to reveal this situation or to help OER move on. And they think OER is quite important for education. And it should be our own responsibility. So everybody has to think about what can I do in my particular environment, working with my students to help OER move on. Okay, to finish, the next steps. This was limited to German-speaking countries, so we are thinking about expanding the panel, taking in recruiting international experts. We will have a stakeholder workshop in the project in Leuven, and with showcases and discussions. I'll try to identify potential participants for these panels here right now, and to establish a network. So that's it. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'll be happy to ask your questions. Okay.
How's the situation in Germany?
Yeah, it's kind of the same. I think they should be able to read materials in English, so it is available. But there's also this skepticism about all this open content and what is the quality, how can I use it. So maybe at the first step you should have some material in German and then to expand it. So.
You referred to the fact that the OER movement in Germany is relatively a little less advanced. I don't want to use the wrong terminology, but just, hasn't taken hold as much as it has in some cultures.
Yeah.
And I've been told that too. For example, when I visited Austria, they said the same thing.
Okay.
You mentioned that perhaps it's increased skepticism, things like that.
Yeah.
I'm asking a speculative question. Why do you suppose that is the case? Based on what you've seen, is there a reason why?
You mean the cultural hurdle?
Yeah, is it institutional or is it cultural? Is it both?
Yeah, it's fostered by the institution, because the people have also to do a lot of research at universities. You have to publish papers, and then you have not much time for lecturing. And so there's the research part is much more important for your career. So you do not engage very much in teaching. But I think here OER can help greatly, because you don't need to do it all over again and reinvent the wheel. So you can take from this movement the material, and then you have more time for your research. Yeah.
I think going back to this gentleman's question, probably just not enough money pumped into it at a national level. Americans benefit from these huge foundations that fund private MIT, courseware, all big initiatives. You probably, as a country, will benefit.
Yeah.
We should probably begin to switch speakers, but if anyone has one final question or comment while we do so. Yeah, just go ahead, sir.
Yeah, maybe we just put on my the issue, the comment I wanted to make is not speaking out of the blue, so to speak, thinking it out. Also from Germany, by the way, and I was thinking that maybe there's also a difference in the, let's say, the declared notion of how people work to be outside, and let's say the internal real practice there in front. And I would be interested in the future also from this study to learn more, because I know that many German lecturers in universities in high schools and so on, we have huge portals, national portals for schools, also for materials, that they are using that. But I know also that in order to declare that openly, that it's not my own material, that this is a cultural barrier.
Yeah.
So there is